Tonight on Q2, inside a disturbing wildlife encounter at Yellowstone National Park.
At first I was, angry again of human going in and messing with wildlife.
This one ultimately leading to the death of a newborn bison. We'll hear from visitors who saw it unfold. Plus, an anniversary reignites debates over gun laws.
It is absolutely an issue in our state.
In Montana, we do not tolerate gun control.
As the nation remembers the tragedy in Uvalde, we'll take a look at what's happened to gun laws in Montana since then. And a story of survival.
We are 7 months out. It is mind-blowing how amazing she is.
After fighting for her life, a Wyoming teen returns to thank those who saved her life. The MTN News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Andrea Lutz. First tonight, the Bison Photo generating a big buzz in Yellowstone National Park. For the second time in recent memory, park rangers euthanize a baby bison calf after human interference. And tonight, park police search for more information about what exactly happened. MTN's Jackie Coffin talks to witnesses who saw it all unfold.
It's a magical time of year to visit Yellowstone's Lamar Valley. I was just there last week watching bison herds with their calves migrating across the river. And with visitors flocking to this area, it can sadly lead to conflicts between human and wildlife.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. In this picture, taken in Yellowstone's Lamar Valley, tells a troubling story.
And somebody had made a comment that they saw a man pull the calf out. Thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was saving this calf.
Carrie Paulson and Pam Strickland are seasoned park visitors. Both were visiting the park separately on Saturday when they stumbled upon a scene they never hoped to see.
The ranger was there. They were trying to reunite the calf with the mother. We didn't see the mother when we were there at all.
They explain this man, who still hasn't been publicly identified, saw a bison calf struggling in the river as its herd was crossing and tried to help it out of the river. But then the calf was displaying troubling behavior.
And we noticed the bison calf, the red dog, surrounded by, I don't know, probably 6 people or so who were taking pictures with it and petting it. It was going up to cars.
Strickland says park rangers arrived and tried to haze the animal back into the herd, but the herd was too far gone, leading rangers to euthanize the calf.
At first I was, angry again of human going in and messing with wildlife.
This event is similar to a 2016 incident when a tourist put a bison calf in his car thinking it looked cold. Rangers had to kill that one too.
It's a thing that happens way too often.
Many are now criticizing the park, wondering why the calf couldn't be saved and taken to an animal sanctuary. The park now receiving so many questions, they've created a webpage to respond, explaining federal and state regulations prohibit the transport of bison unless those bison are going to meat processing or scientific research facilities.
There is a lot of fear around brucellosis.
A difficult decision and a scene both women will remember for years to come.
I don't think that there's anything the park service could have done differently at all.
In Yellowstone, Jackie Coffin, MTN News.
It'll soon be easier to get to Yellowstone National Park. The iconic Beartooth Highway is set to open this Friday. All of that snow has been cleared from the Beartooth Pass, and the highway will officially open at 8 a.m. Crews finished some last-minute preparations today. For a look at how that first day could turn out, let's check in with our Ed McIntosh.
Here's a look with the Stockman Bank weather cam here this evening, where we've got rain showers in and across the region. Some areas, some pretty heavy rain. Afternoon thunderstorms will continue to be a problem. So when we're looking at the Beartooth Pass and the potential for opening, usually we're concerned about it snowing and closing it again. But more likely, we'll be looking at temperatures continuing to be warmer than average. These afternoon showers and thunderstorms will cause areas where we're going to have some problems with slushy areas, or at least wet areas that are going to become very muddy. We're going to be looking at potential for thunderstorms here this evening. If we zoom down on the latest radar, you can see some strong storms developing here through Bighorn and Yellowstone County, over towards Stillwater County as well, where the rain is coming down hard and heavy. More weather coming up.
Today marks 1 year since a gunman entered a classroom in Uvalde, Texas, killing 19 children and 2 adults. That tragedy is still very fresh for much of the nation, in many cases reigniting calls for gun control. But what legislation, if any, has been brought forth here in Montana? With that answer, here's our Phil Van Pelt.
Bring up guns in Montana, and you're likely to get some strong opinions. It's a divisive topic, even more so now on the 1 year anniversary of the Uvalde school shooting.
1 year ago today, the lives of 21 families were forever changed. A gunman entered Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and murdered 19 children and 2 teachers. That tragedy is once again reigniting America's seemingly never-ending debate over semi-automatic rifles and gun violence.
It can be a volatile issue. We obviously are a state where guns are part of our culture.
Shani Henry is a co-lead for Moms Demand Action for the state of Montana, a group founded in the days after the mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary, and now leading the charge for what they call sensible gun control.
We are 26 times more likely than any other civilized nation to die by gun violence. 26 times.
But here in Montana, attempts to change gun laws have been futile.
Any significant legislation regarding firearm violence is shut down largely by Republicans.
Only one bill was introduced during the last legislative session related to any kind of gun control.
That bill was killed immediately in the first committee it came to because it's just not suitable for Montana.
Gary Marbut is the president of the Montana Shooting Sports Association and says Montanans have zero interest in any laws that limit gun control.
Those people are in the political minority in Montana, and that's one of the reasons we have constitutional rights in America, is to prevent the political minority from preying on everybody else with their dreamy ideas about utopia and how they're going to control everybody.
According to data from the CDC, Montana ranked 8th in the nation for gun-related deaths from 2017 to 2021. 83% of those deaths were suicide.
If you subtract suicides from gun deaths, and you subtract the gun deaths in a few urban areas in America where it's done commonly over drugs and gang-related turf, then America has a very low amount of gun violence.
And it's viewpoints like Marbut's and Henry's that highlight the divide in this country. One reason that little has changed in terms of gun laws in the wake of the tragedy at Uvalde 1 year ago. In Billings, Phil Van Pelt, MTN News.
Tonight, an in-depth look at how our court system handles mental health. Just as Montana's mental health crisis takes a toll on families and police, it really becomes a ripple effect by filling our jails and backing up court dockets. MTN's Augusta McDonald examines the issue in the legal system to learn what services might be available.
Montana's legal system is dealing with the impacts of untreated mental health symptoms in our communities. Yellowstone County is no different. I talked to judges on both the civil and criminal side of things about the way their courtrooms are affected.
It's a huge issue. It backs up our dockets, it backs up our courtrooms, it fills up our jail. So it's just kind of a ripple effect of what it does.
District Court Judge Jessica Fair says systemic issues with mental health in the criminal justice system worsened due to the COVID pandemic.
I think we all feel it and see it. After being locked in for 2 years, we're seeing an uptick in mental health issues. We're seeing an uptick in domestic violence related to mental health issues. I can say there's not a single drug case that I see in either of my treatment courts, and I think in most of my criminal cases, where there isn't an underlying mental health issue that maybe went untreated, that maybe they were self-medicating.
And for people with severe mental health issues who commit crimes, their cases won't be resolved for a long time.
We have some really significantly sick people, and we have very few options.
If a judge decides someone needs to be evaluated for mental fitness before proceeding with their criminal case, that person will sit in jail, waiting in some cases for over a year.
The downside is people get worse. So the initial symptoms that led me to issue an order for evaluation simply get worse as they sit longer and longer.
The state hospital's forensic mental health facility in Galen conducts court-ordered mental fitness evaluations. A Department of Public Health spokesperson tells me there are just 54 beds for inpatient evaluation services. In mid-April, there were 40 men and 27 women on the facility's wait list. District Court Judge Ashley Harada says she volunteers to handle a lot of the civil commitment cases, which means someone is so unwell they're ordered to go to the state hospital for treatment.
Lots of times we see people repeatedly coming in to the hospital and then going to the state hospital and then coming back to our community and then going back to the state hospital. And so I'm repeatedly committing people, and they are not coming back and getting services in our community because lots of times there's no services available.
A devastating cycle with no clear end in sight. In Billings, Augusta McDonald for MTN News.
Well, the judges in that story do have some ideas on what they believe will help curb the crisis. One issue is those with severe mental health have no access to case management in our community, meaning people who return from the state hospital have no support. And those stays are typically less than a month at the state hospital.
We got to figure out a better way once someone comes back to the community to do a solid handoff to the team here, to say, you have an appointment at the mental health center. You know, this is going to be the person that's going to make sure you get there. This is where you're going to stay.
Governor Greg Gianforte recently signed a measure to create a commission to work on rebuilding the state's behavioral health system with $300 million from this legislative session. The Montana education system is mourning the loss of pioneer Sheila Stearns, who served as the first woman commissioner of higher education. She also served as the University of Montana's 18th president. With her decades of experience leaving a lasting impact in the state, she and her husband Hal received awards for their work in humanities throughout their careers in Montana education. Well, Stearns died yesterday after fighting a brief illness. Still ahead on the MTN 530 News on Q2, giving thanks. A Sheridan teen returns to St. Vincent Healthcare to give thanks to those caregivers who helped save her life. We'll take you there next. And in sports, a longtime Billings softball coach is proving age is just a number by still helping to throw strikes at the age of 83. Yeah, great story there. Keep it here.